What I've learned about teaching in today's society is that it is a job that is much harder and riddled with complex problems that aren't so obvious to the general public. Teachers have to deal with criticism from the news and bad portrayals of themselves in the media. Teachers have to deal with issues of racism and segregation that still lingers through public education. Worst of all, teachers are underpaid and underappreciated for the civil service they provide to the future generations of our country. Teachers are constantly faced with different portrayals in media, whether it be Edna Crabapple, the teacher from The Simpsons, telling Bart he was bad on the inside, or Jack Griffith from AP Bio refusing to actually teach. They are generally portrayed as the bad teacher trope we have all seen and become accustomed to in media. Other than another reoccurring trope is when it comes to the teacher portrayal in media is the white savior, a white undereducated teacher who goes into a predominantly minority-based school and acts as a savior to them. Neither of these recurring themes are helpful to the way that the general public looks at teachers and helps further the understanding of what a real teacher has to face in their day-to-day basis. Teachers also face criticism from the media, such as when Times released an article titled Rotten Apples, and it's subtitled, "It's nearly impossible to fire a bad teacher. Some tech millionaires may have found a way to change that." Teachers had to fire back as not only was this about how some tech millionaires were adding their input to a problem they have no real life experience with, but also because Times released the article without getting any real input from any real teachers. According to the documentary Teach Us All, you will find that in today's society, uh, schools are more segregated than they have ever been. 62 years ago, the Little Rock Nine were faced with Governor Fabus refusing to segregate schools by ordering the Arkansas National Guard to refuse the 9 children into Central High School. One would think, after 65 years after Brown versus the Board of Education, that we would see significant changes in the way that schools are segregated, but we still remain close to the same state we were in. High poverty areas, both urban and rural, have a much higher teacher turnover rate than their counterparts, such as low poverty suburban areas. High turnover rates lead to worse education for the children attending, putting children who may have not been born into the best situation ever into worse situations. Candace Sunmer argues poor children receive much less resources than their rich counterparts. Candace even speaks on how she had to personally crowdfund books for her children, or for her classroom children, instead of receiving them from her district. Teachers who teach in low income, high minority areas face a much more difficult job than the general public is really aware of. Since the feminization of teaching in the 1840s, teachers have been severely underpaid. Back then, women became popular because a woman could be paid a third of what a man would have made. This trend of underpaying teachers has continued close to 2 centuries. Organizations such as the Teacher Salary Project have been created to help highlight the fact that teachers are underpaid and underappreciated. Teachers have some of the most stagnated wages compared to other professions, actually making less on average after adjusted or inflation adjusted dollars than they did 20 years ago. Teachers in those low income areas often have to pay out of pocket for their classroom supplies when one of the children asks if a quarter is enough for a book at the book fair. Um, Teachers have a very time dedicating and physically and mentally exhausting job that often carries well over the 40 hours that they get paid for. Teaching in today's society is a job that is done to service the public and mold the next generation of minds, but is completely undervalued by the general public. Teaching in today's society is a hard job that comes with little reward. Teaching in today's society is fighting stereotypes and judgment from the media and news outlets. What I've really learned through this course about teaching in today's society is something I don't think I could ever do. And I've learned through this class that I myself need to have more respect for teaching and to be more aware of the state of education and equality in education, and do my part to help move us forward as a community. Teachers deserve the respect for the hard work they do for this community. Thank you.